What is up, everybody? Chris of Midlife Crisis Media here. Whew. Had just enough time to get home, clean up the dome, gather everything up, and get this started. So, welcome to Recent Pickups 82. This is everything I've added to my physical media collection in October of 2023. And October ended up being another month. Meaning that I did a lot of things. So ended up traveling to Rockford for a convention I didn't know was a thing. You know, you think I'd know about a video game convention in Illinois somewhere, you know, since I live here. And turns out there's one that happened, I guess, before COVID all the time, every October-ish, called R2V2. It's like the river... Sheesh, I have to look it up. But whatever. It's like a good hour and 15-minute drive, maybe an hour if I was speeding like a madman. And I ended up meeting up with TJ Kitsune and Megamat, who are also in Western Illinois. Hang on a second. Let me look up this convention's name real quick. R2V2 Game Con. The Rock River Valley Video Game Convention. And it's really, really tiny. What is this on my keyboard? A piece of floof. Whatever. Yeah, it's really tiny. It's like half of a high school gymnasium. And not a lot of vendors there. There wasn't a whole lot to do. But it was kind of cool that they had John St. John there, the dude who is the voice of Duke Nukem. And what's his name? Big the Cat from the Sonic Adventure games and a few other video games, voice actor, really cool guy. I met him at the Midwest Gaming Convention back in, I think, 2018. Really cool guy. Took a picture with him and everything, super friendly. And there were a lot of vendors there. They were selling a little bit of everything. There was new games, old games, movies, books, which reminds me I need to go and pick something up real quick that I forgot to add to my little stack of things here. I'll be back in 10 seconds. Okay, so yeah, there was a little bit of everything there. I was really surprised. I only had a small budget to work with because it kind of happened at an off time. So I only brought $100 cash with me, and that was it. So I was working on a budget, and I got some pretty cool stuff. But it was also a month where I drove to Madison and did like a haunted trail with a bunch of friends that live out there, and that was really cool. Got to watch a bunch of horror movies for Halloween and all that. So that was rad. My jacket, my hoodie still stinks like a campfire because they had little fires set up to keep people warm while you're waiting to get onto the trail. And yeah, my jacket still kind of stinks like I was camping. But outside of that, awesome. And I bought some stuff that I think is really rad. I have a lot of movies. Not a lot. I have a stack of movies. I have a stack of video games and a little stack over here of some other things. And we'll get those out of the way first. So how about we go there? So sold a bunch of, I've been replacing my Blu-rays with 4K copies of the same movie, like I guess double dipping is the thing, or the term. Not really finding anything worth trading them in for at the half-price books. They usually have nothing there in the way of games or movies anymore because every single time I sell them stuff, because I'm selling them a lot of my like Scream Factory Blu-rays that I've been getting on 4K, and usually whenever I go up there to get my little receipt, to get my cash, they're always like, you have some really nice stuff in this stack here. And I was like, okay, then why isn't there any really cool stuff out there for sale other than my stuff? The only thing I found at half-price books, and this is something from my youth. If my buddy Charlie's here, I was watching him stream earlier. Epic Die Studio. He was streaming on Twitch. This is something that I was really into when I was a kid, and I still am. I still love this franchise. It's an RPG franchise, and I love my cyberpunk, and this is like the name in cyberpunk. At least back when I was in high school and all that, there was a bunch of books released to help promote the RPG, and I picked up Shadowrun. Never Trust an Elf. I haven't read this one before, but I always like these stories. And if you have never played Shadowrun before, it's a tabletop RPG like Dungeons and Dragons, but you still have the elves, you still have the orcs, you still have the trolls and that kind of stuff, but it takes place in the future and there's tons of technology around. So picture the Matrix mixed with D&D, and that's what you have, because you hack computers, and there's the thing called the Matrix that you have to hack. I think they've changed it to the net because of the Matrix, and they don't want to confuse it. But really awesome. So there's dragons and stuff in the future, and it is kind of rad. There are awesome video games available for this in this franchise as well. The Super Nintendo one I love. There's one on the Genesis, which is okay. There's the Shadowrun Return series that came out on Steam and recently was released for the home consoles through limited run. But one of the things I picked up at that convention, at the R2V2 convention, never thought I'd find this at the convention, but the guy had it sitting right there for $5, and it's the first book in that series, and that is Never Deal with a Dragon. And the thing is, every time I've seen this book back in the day, like seeing it at used bookstores and all that kind of stuff, it is always trashed. The spine is always destroyed. I found oh man, really? I rebooted this damn computer before I even started, and it's still locking up. I will be right back, everybody. What is going on with this now? This thing is going crazy. Anyway, like I was saying, I always find this first book in the franchise trash to all hell, so I never buy it. I used to have one that was okay looking, but this one is just in way better shape. And for $5, I'm pretty sure this goes for like more than 20 in this kind of condition on eBay. So I snapped it up, and even TJ was kind of like, "Huh, a book, okay." So that's it for that kind of stuff, but didn't stop me from buying other things. So, like I say, I'm not a toy collector anymore, but there are some things out there currently that I kind of want. What's up? Oh, Charlie, you're about to see it. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but I picked up 2 Shadowrun books. It's a thing. Yeah, I'm not a toy collector anymore. I used to do it all the time back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Eventually, they took over my living area, my living space, and I was just kind of like, I can't do this anymore. I have to like dial back what I collect. I can only collect so many things when you have limited space. Like the same thing with me and the vinyl records. Had to get rid of those because I'm like, I can't collect movies and video games and records. You're going to run out of space. It's such a drain on your finances. Like you have to get rid of one, and records lost out. Luckily, I was kind of like, I don't know why I was collecting these things anyway. But when it comes to toys, I don't do it much anymore, if at all. But lately, like I said, there's been some stuff that's been coming out that I've been really excited about, and I kind of wanted to add to the collection. Like you can see the shirt I'm wearing right now, my Black Hole shirt. Well, I think it's Diamond Select Toys. They release like premium toys. A while back, they released some Black Hole figures, and I completely missed out on it. I wasn't really looking into this kind of stuff, but the other thing I found at Half Price Books of all freaking places was to find one of their toys. The only other place I've seen these in person is that Freak Toys place that I go to with the rocket sauce whenever I go game hunting up in Wisconsin. That's that place in Sheboygan. I saw the Vincent slash Old Bob combo pack out there. And I never buy it because I'm always like, I'm here for games, I'm not for toys. I want to get into that rabbit hole. But they had Maximilian at Half Price Books for $20, brand new. And this thing is massive. I absolutely love the Black Hole. It's one of my favorite movies from my childhood. Super dark for a Disney movie, like almost like a horror movie at times. It's really gothic. So you can see what Maximilian this looks like outside of the package. And there's also the Vincent package, which I need to find. Hopefully when I go to Wisconsin later this month to go game hunting with the gang, the YouTube gang, we're going to go to Freak Toys and I can pick up the Vincent one. Super thrilled of all places, Half Price freaking books for $20 when I think this is supposed to go for over $50. Whatever. Yeah. But the thing that I mentioned to Charlie on his stream is Hasbro has been celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Dungeons and Dragons animated cartoon that was on in the early 80s, which I absolutely loved. I never played the game back then, but a fantasy cartoon, like for a Saturday morning cartoon, I was like, hell's yeah. Like I watched every episode of that thing. And now I have the DVD set with every episode on it, except they even have the final episode that was never aired, but it's like in screenplay form, and there's like storyboards and whatever, but whatever. Last month, I picked up 3 of the figures that were released. I had to return one of them. So last month, I picked up, was that Sheila? And I can never remember the name of the douche character. Sheila and Eric. So Sheila is the girl who used the cloak to make herself invisible. She was the rogue. And then Eric is the paladin, but he's an asshole who has the magic shield. And I also bought Presto, who was the wizard, the kid in the green wizard robes. I ordered that. Well, I got those 2 at frickin' Target of all places. I ordered Eric off of Amazon, and when it showed up, I showed it off in last month's stream. It showed up, it was all crushed because the packaging of these things is kind of weird. And it was all crushed and mangled and folded. So I sent it back. I got my money back. I had to send this other thing back too for another reason. But I knew that I had seen some of these figures at Barnes & Noble before. I was there with a couple of friends over the summer. I think it was maybe in July. And I remember seeing a few of them there. I didn't buy them because I didn't want to blow the money at the time. But I went back there. They had 2 that I needed, but one of them had been like torn open. And I was like, no, I'm not buying that. So I bought the other one they had, and that is Diana, who they called her an acrobat in the show, but she's basically like a monk, I guess you would say. Her magic item is this staff that she has. The other character they had was Bobby, who's the little kid barbarian who has Uni, the little unicorn character, with him. That was the one that was torn open. I was kind of bummed about that one being the one that was destroyed. And I was like, whatever. But I'm glad that I found another one to add to the collection. So now I have 3 until this happened. So last month I was talking about how I had another one of these Dungeons and Dragons figures coming, and it was a big one. And same thing that has happened. I'm going to be, you guys, you have no idea. I'm going to be seriously bitching about Amazon in this stream today because they are really pissing me off. So I had ordered this from a seller on Amazon, not like an eBay seller. This is an Amazon seller. And they said it was brand new, in great shape, not dinged or whatever. Then why did you ship it to me in a frickin' plastic bag? You turd. When it showed up, it was pushed in. It looked like there was a piece of tape, like not like Scotch tape. We're talking like packing tape that had been put on the front, and somebody ripped it off and tore a bunch of the artwork off the front. And I'm like, this is not brand new. Give me my money back. And I sent it back, and they did. And we're talking this Venger and Dungeon Master combo set. And the cool thing is, I ended up getting this off of eBay, off some guy who looked like he was selling a bunch of them. He sold like 10 of them at the same time. and it looked like they fell off a truck kind of situation. And I even like messaged the guy, and I was like, "Look, these are in good condition, right? I know you have it listed as new. They're in good condition, right?" And he said, "Yeah, these are like all in brand new condition. But you better pack it like it." Sure enough, it showed up wrapped in bubble wrap and in a box. Like you should pack something large like this in a freaking box. And that's what they look like inside. I really was thrilled about these. And the other cool thing is these figures each come with a die of some type. Diana comes with a 20-sider. And Venger and Dungeon Master come with a percentile 10-sider and another 20-sider, which is pretty rad. So super glad that I have this actually in good shape. This box is in fantastic shape. So the remaining 3 figures I'm going to have to buy from, was it Big Bad Toy Store? And they're not that expensive. They're like $25 each, so that's no big deal. I can get Bobby, I can get Hank, and I can get another Presto. And then I'll have the whole set, and then I'm done collecting the toys once I get that Vincent from the Black Hole from the Diamond Select line, and then I'm good. No more toys. Don't have room for that kind of thing. I barely have room for this stuff, but whatever. All right, so now that that stuff is out of the way, we can get into everything else, starting with the movies. So we'll start off with the Blu-rays. I actually bought some Blu-rays this month. I only had enough time to like throw all these things together in a stack. I didn't have time to organize them into what type they are. So hang on one second, everyone. There's that. Okay. So I got a few cool Blu-rays. We'll start off with these. They showed up yesterday. One of the channels I watch on YouTube that deals exclusively with movies on home media is Films at Home and Serial at Midnight. Serial at Midnight has I guess he has a deal with Kino Lorber, who is one of the boutique distributors of home media. And every month they send him a box that has like every release that they've released during the month. We're talking like sometimes 30 different movies in sets of some type. And I was watching his monthly recap of these are all the movies and things that were released on physical media from Kino Lorber this month. And I saw 2 movies in there. And I was like, how do I not know that was released? I mean, how could I not know? I must have them because I'm obsessed with Canon. I did a short a little while ago that was like my favorite films released by Canon Ventures or Canon Advent. I can't remember what they have a weird subtitle, it's not Canon Films, not Canon Pictures. It's like the Canon Group. Sorry, the Canon Group. They did stuff like Masters of the Universe and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and Life Force and the remake of Invaders from Mars and Breakin' 1 and 2, that kind of stuff. I love their movies. They're so freaking cheesy and stupid. I love them. And 2 of the movies that they were the most well known for, I didn't know that these were coming out on Blu-ray, so I had to pick them up, and that's American Ninja and American Ninja 2: The Confrontation. I saw both of these in a theater, but not a first run theater. My parents wanted to see these movies, but they would not pay full price for them, like basically for everything, like when I was a kid. We saw these at the Dollar Theater, like when they'd been out for a little while. It was like a second run place. Absolutely loved these films. I haven't watched the first one in quite a while. Michael Dudikoff, Mr. Non-Personality. He is like the Keanu Reeves of the early 80s. He's always just kind of like deadpan. But he's fun to watch, and he kind of like watching him struggle through being like doing martial arts stuff, because he's not, whenever he's in the ninja outfit, it's something completely different. You can totally tell. But these movies are fun. They're just stupid. Like, he's a military guy who happened to have been trained to be a ninja. Yeah. And then there's the Off the Wall sequel. We actually watched this for my podcast. The movie is starting with one of the unofficial third hosts, Brian Graupner of the Gothsicles. And this movie is absolutely crazy. It's like the original movie times 10. It is just nuts, no plot. Let's just throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks kind of thing. And there's a character in this movie that we made fun of the entire time, who he's another, I think it was another military guy, but he has this super long neck. And we kept on calling him Mecha Neck because of the canon connection to the Masters of the Universe movie. And every time he would walk on screen, one of us would go click, click, click. Like it was his neck expanding. It is so funny. But yeah, these movies are both kind of terrible, yet kind of awesome. I absolutely love them. They're 2 of my like cheesy favorites from the 80s, so I had to get those. You miss $1 theaters these days. Movies come to theaters and they're like 3 weeks, then go right to Blu-ray. Yeah, I know, right? Five Nights at Freddy's is already on Peacock. And then last night I looked at HBO Max. I keep forgetting that's just Max now. And they have The Nun Part 2 already streaming there. And that movie came out like a month ago. I started watching it last night, but I fell asleep because I didn't really like the first one, and I'm not really liking this one, but I'll finish it tonight probably. Then I got 2 Blu-ray television sets, and I keep on saying I'm getting rid of some of my streaming services. I got rid of Netflix, I got rid of Hulu, so I don't predict these streaming services are going to be around forever. The model just is not. It's not made for money. It's never going to last. I'm sorry. So I want to get these shows that I like on those streaming services on physical media, so when they disappear, I still have a way to watch them. So since I've been playing the video game that this is based on, it's like for the last 2 months almost now. I beat the DLC pack that came out earlier this month, or last month. It's November now, I keep forgetting. And that is Cyberpunk Edge Runners. This was a Netflix miniseries anime that is a side story to the video game. And actually, the things that go on in here actually impact things in the game. There's certain areas you'll go to, and there's conversations that happen that reference characters from this cartoon. And I know, especially if you go to the graveyard, like the big monument graveyard, they reference all of them in some way. But I've never actually watched this, and since I've gotten so into playing Cyberpunk, the past month and a half, almost 2 months now, I figured I needed to have this. Plus, Church the Game Grinder swears on it, says it's freaking awesome. So pick that up. And this is, I got this from China, so for all I know, it's a freaking bootleg, but I don't care. It was only like $25, I think, on eBay. But you have to get it from China. It took a little while for it to get to me. It took like 3 weeks for it to get to me, but I can't wait to watch that. Edge Runners, yeah, I need to watch it. I never watched it when it was on Netflix. I kept forgetting about it. Records have made a comeback. Streaming services will fade and movies on disc will become popular again. I hope this whole thing with Best Buy and Walmart and Target eliminating physical media. I did a short about that too. Just it really cheesing me off. Especially because I was going to Best Buy every single week and buying movies and stuff because there was stuff that they had that I didn't know existed. I don't follow every single thing that tells you what's releasing on physical media. So I'd go to Best Buy every week and I'd always find something that surprised me. And then once they raised the prices, like I was talking about, when they decided to raise the prices of the brand new 4Ks in order to make you buy that year-long Best Buy Plus subscription thing that would lower the price back down to the normal price. I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go and buy my stuff off of Amazon if you're going to be dicks like that. Well, they put the kibosh on it, and then they announced that they're not going to carry physical media anymore in 2024. And I just started going back to them to start buying movies again. I've gone there the last 3 weeks and bought stuff, and then they announced they're going to stop selling physical media, and it pisses me off. Anyway, so the other thing I bought, and I would have shown this off last month, but I had to return it because this is another thing that got destroyed in shipping from Amazon. And that is the complete series of Star Trek Picard. This is all 3 seasons of the show. I've watched all of them. I like the first one. I hate the second season. The third season is one of the coolest things ever put on film, especially if you're a Next Generation fan. It is so freaking awesome. It does all the things you want it to do and more. It is so good. And like I said, last month I had that gigantic Star Trek Next Generation complete series box set that got destroyed in the mail because they shipped me a package that was this big in a garbage bag and expected it's not going to get damaged. Yeah, it came crushed. All the corners were pushed in. I sent it back, sent them I talked to one of their people on customer service on the chat, and I was like, look, you shipped me this original one in a plastic bag, and you expect that it's not going to get damaged somehow? I'm like, why would you ship something that large in a bag anyway? But I'm getting your replacement sent to me right now. I would appreciate it. And this is how I worded it. I was like, I would really appreciate it. I wasn't being a dick in any of this stuff at all. I was being really polite, even though I was mad. I was like, I would really appreciate it if you guys could ship this to me in a box this time. And the guy I was talking to goes, yeah, I'll be right back. And he was gone for 5 minutes. He comes back and he goes, we will ship it to you in a box as you demanded. Demand what? I said I would appreciate it. I didn't say you're going to ship it to me in a box or I'm going to come down there and like punch you in the nose. No. And then when it showed up again, it showed up in another bag, but it was the one that looks like a paper shopping grocery bag that has a little bit of padding in it. And it still showed up kind of damaged. It was less damage than the one I got before, but it's passable. But I'm like, you guys didn't even do what I asked. You guys are pissing me off. So this one had gotten damaged, and I had to send it back. Not because, well, the slip cover had been kind of crushed. This one's still kind of damaged. You can see a couple parts where it's folded. That one was damaged too. The reason I had to send it back was I was watching the third season of the show on disc, and on the last 2 discs, the audio kept skipping. So like Riker would be talking, he would be like, "Oh, MZD," and I was like, "Okay, something's wrong with these discs." Got it back, rewatched what was on here that I knew was bad, and they're fine. So I got a new one. I'm happy, yay! But the show is awesome. It's worth it just for the third season alone. The third season alone is a chef's kiss. Playing the new RoboCop game, I want that so bad. I did like Terminator Resistance. Terminator Resistance is awesome. I need to get that RoboCop game. I saw someone streaming it, and like it's a first-person game, but he grabbed some perp by like the throat and threw him out a freaking window. I was like, this is going to be the greatest game ever made. I just want to be able to shoot people in the dick. Okay, and we'll get into the 4Ks now. And let me see what I can talk about first. Okay, we'll talk about the stuff that I picked up when I was at Best Buy. So like I said, I've been going to Best Buy again because they... Did I get that? No, I did not get those there. Okay, so there's for a retailer that is getting rid of the physical media, they are still releasing exclusive versions of movies that you can only get in their stores. So they have a deal with Lionsgate, and they keep releasing these steelbooks. And I've talked about them before. I have a whole bunch of them. They're a steelbook, and they have a plastic slip cover over them that covers up certain parts of the artwork that's on the steelbook. And when you remove the slip cover, it reveals like another image, which I thought is really, really cool. So I heard that they had a version of The Mist that was exclusive to Best Buy stores. And I ran over there, and I got this like last week. Like I went over there last Monday and picked this up. Oh, no, sorry. I went over there and I picked this up on Friday. And it is I watched it already. I watched it as one of the movies. Like I watched a horror movie a day for Halloween every single day. 31 horror movies, one a day. And this was one of the ones I watched because I haven't watched in the longest time. And the image is right here. You can see through the words Mist. You can see kind of faces of the main characters. And when you pull the cover off, you've got them looking out a window inside the store where they've been trapped for like, 3/4 of the movie, which is pretty cool. And the same thing on the back. We got some of the other secondary characters looking out the window too. I love this movie. I know a lot of people don't like it because of the ending. I absolutely love it. I think that's a great ending. What's the moral of the story? Wait 5 minutes. But I think it's fantastic. I think it's really tense, really scary. And the ending is just like heartbreaking. But put yourself in their shoes. What would you have done? Anyway, this also comes with the black and white version of the movie, and I watched a little bit of it in black and white, and it makes the movie come off as like a Twilight Zone episode, which I think is really cool. But one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, another one by Frank Darabont. That guy can do no wrong when it comes to Stephen King. There's a trophy for crotch shots. That is amazing. I am buying that that game tonight. Also had to go and pick up the new Mortal Kombat animated film. They had Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match. So each one kind of focuses on a specific character from the lore. So the first one was all about Scorpion. The second one kind of went off the rails a little bit. It was kind of about everybody because it was trying to do the whole tournament thing, and it fell on its face. That is the worst one that they've released so far. The last one they released was Snowblind, and that was about Kenshi. And now they've got one about Johnny Cage. And this one has, the dude from Community that played the lead. He was also the host of The Soup for a while. I can't remember his damn name. Joel McHale is the voice of Johnny Cage in this. It also has Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing, and she plays, his girlfriend, Jennifer, which is awesome. But I know Shinnok is in. I haven't watched it yet. It's still. Oh my god, this goddamn computer is pissing me off. I'll be back. I guess I have to reboot this damn thing again. I apologize about that. My computer is like crap in the bed tonight. Usually all I have to do is like reboot the computer before I stream and it works perfectly fine. If I leave it on for too long and then I try to stream, it usually will crash. But it's being a butthead tonight. Anyway, sorry. And I was talking about the Mortal Kombat Legends cage match movie. Yeah, this has Cage in it. I think Serena from Sub-Zero, was it Mortal Kombat Mythology? Sub-Zero is in it. Shinnok is in it also. I need to give this one a watch. I think it looks like Raiden. Oh no, the female that wears the Raiden type of hat, that's from like the PlayStation 2 era video games, is in this too. I can't remember what her name is either. Crap, it's been a while. Anyway, looking forward to watching that one. Also picked up one of my favorite like cheesy 50s science fiction movies. It's It Came from Outer Space. This is one of those movies that I had no clue got released on 4K. And of all the movies to release on 4K, it's this one. It's not the greatest thing ever. It's basically about a gigantic eyeball that, tries to take over a small town. But the reason I really wanted to pick this up is, if you see on the bonus features, It Came from Outer Space in 3D. This movie was originally released, it's in black and white, but it was originally released in 3D. My dad, I think, said he saw this in 3D when it was first released when he was younger. And I had the Blu-ray, the 3D Blu-ray of it, but I'd rather have it in 4K because the film grain and everything looks way better in 4K than it does on Blu-ray. It just makes it look more film-ic, which is awesome. So definitely thrilled that I found this there. Like I said, going to the physical, brick and mortar stores, you find some cool shit. Like I said, I didn't even know they came out. None of the channels I watch that have to do with physical media have even talked about that one. So it was a complete surprise to me. I'm going to miss that one. They stop carrying this stuff. There's going to be a lot of stuff that gets by me. And then I also picked up Meg 2, The Trench. This is the second film. I've read all the books in this series. There's, I think, 6 books in the series. Varying quality. Like, they just start repeating themselves after a while. This book was just called The Trench, and this movie has, like, zero to do with it. I talked about it in one of my shorts, my film reviews. It has nothing to do with the book. Yeah, they go into a trench at one point, but the whole book took place there. Where there was like a research facility at the bottom of the ocean in a trench, in the Mariana Trench. But this one, they're there for like 5 minutes, and then it's back to the surface with giant sharks. The movie's stupid as all hell. It's not nearly as good as the first one, but it's fun. It's entertaining. I got a few chuckles out of it. I still think it's funny that they put the thing with the T-Rex being attacked by the Meg at the start of this film when that was what opened the first book. Anyway, it's Jason Statham doing Jason Statham things, and there's a couple of giant CGI sharks chasing them around. It's okay, but it's fun. I have the first one. I said, let's do it. I also picked up, I got the rest of these from Amazon and one from a boutique label. So we'll do these first. So I got these off of Amazon. I also watched this I saw it in the theater, but I also watched it for my 31 days of, watching a movie every day for Halloween. And that was Talk to Me. This is an Australian film. So Retro Coop. Whoop, whoop. Is that Retro Coop or is it the Game Room? I think it's the Game Room I'm thinking of. Are you from Australia, Retro Coop? I can't remember. I saw this in the theater. Absolutely loved it. It was like one of the coolest, creepiest horror movies I've seen in a long time. So the plot is there's this embalmed hand that has been being passed around at like teenage parties. And what you do is you take its hand and you say, talk to me. And a spirit will reveal itself to you. And if you say, what was it? You can come in, or like, let me in or something like that. I think it was let me in. It will possess your body, not you. Okay, so I'm thinking of the Game Room. I'm sorry. I apologize. You say, let me in, and the spirit will possess you and will talk through you. And while everyone else at the party is having a conversation with a dead person, the person who it's inhabiting, you get high. So it's kind of like it's like making a commentary about party drugs, and then it goes too far, and then it starts talking about the things you would do, to get your next fix kind of thing, or the things you're willing to do to impress people, put yourself in danger kind of thing. And it takes a really sinister turn that's kind of graphic, especially when it comes to this thing that's going on right there. It's really creepy. It got under my skin, and I think it has this awesome ending, a really fantastic ending. And the Philippou brothers, who are actually YouTubers, they would do like backyard wrestling stunts and stuff, and then they started to like try to make things that looked like it was coming from a film. Like they would try to up their like cinematography and all that kind of stuff to the point where it got someone's attention, and they were actually given a few $1 million to make a movie, and this is the end result. And they made a killing for A24. They've already announced the sequel. I can't wait to see what they do with it, because that was one fun horror movie. I also picked up Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. So the last Michael Bay Transformers movie, which was the 5th, that is The Last Night, was, I think, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I just thought it was absolutely terrible. So when they decided to go a different route for the next one and do Bumblebee and just have it be about him, I was like, eh. But then I saw it and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And then they decided to go back to Transformers movies proper. And now it's a sequel to Bumblebee, in that took place in the 80s. This takes place in the 90s. And it has a completely different director. Michael Bay had nothing to do with this other than, I think, producing it. Totally different director. And this one is kind of fantastic. I really enjoyed this one. I saw it in 4D at the local theater, which means not only was it in 3D, but the chairs moved and they shoot air at your face and spray you with water and fill the theater with mist, and there's lighting effects and all this kind of stuff. It is rad as all hell. And it made the movie a lot of fun. This one really like got me involved. Like I got into it. I liked all the characters. For once, the human characters aren't annoying and they actually have some development. The Autobots have some development. The bad guys are just kind of there, but they're kind of cool. And it does a lot of stuff. This is the closest we're ever going to get to a live action version of the animated movie from the 80s. There is a lot of stuff in here from that movie, including freaking Unicron. Luckily, they got rid of that Unicron crap from The Last Night, because that was some garbage right there. But this one was a lot of fun. They even put RC in there, and she is kind of awesome. She has a great moment where she says the F word, but they do like a little silent moment as a missile passes by her face, and she goes, "Oh, fuck," as it passes by her, but you don't actually hear her say it. It's really fun. I've watched this 3 times now. I saw it once in the theater, and I watched it twice on Paramount Plus, and I had no problem buying it also, because Paramount Plus ain't going to be there forever. And I actually really, really like that. It's probably the best one since, for me, like in my opinion, that's the best one since the 3rd one. You ordered RoboDoc and it's coming. RoboDoc? You mean RoboCop? Or RoboDoc? I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I have the RoboCop on 3 on Shot Factory, even though I don't like it, but I wanted to be a completist and have all of the original run of RoboCop films. You have Prime, and you're like, why the hell did it take so long? I'm really getting fed up with them. Then I got some of these. Well, I also picked up Prey. I got this off of Amazon. So, like I said, getting rid of those streaming services. One of them was Hulu. Prey was, for some reason, Disney is like abusing the movies that would actually make money from genre fans. So last year they decided that this, Predator sequel that they were going to make was going to be straight to Hulu. Why? They made a remake of Hellraiser. They released it straight to Hulu. Why? Both of these movies were pretty fantastic and would have made a killing at the box office. Why would you release it straight to streaming? I don't know why, but they just keep on doing it over and over again with like movies that should be going to the theaters, and they're wasting it by putting it on streaming services. This felt like I should, like, as I was watching, I was like, I would have loved to have seen this in the theater. That would have been amazing. So it's a prequel to the Predator movies. It takes place in the Navajo, I think it's the Navajo Nation. Comanche Nation. And it's about a young female Comanche who wants to be a warrior, but because she's a woman, no one wants to take her seriously. And she ends up taking on a freaking predator. And it is pretty awesome. The character development is on point. The action scenes are on point. The new weapons you see from the Predator, even though it's a prequel, are pretty awesome. The only thing I didn't like about it was the redesign of the Predator's face. It's like got a weird face now. And I thought it looked silly. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, guys. You don't have to put your own stamp on it. Just leave it alone. It's like Freddy Krueger is always going to have to be a burned dude. You can't change that makeup. In fact, luckily, is the only thing about the remake that they got right was they kept the makeup. It made it look a little bit more realistic. Leave me alone. But this is a fantastic movie. I absolutely had to have this on home video. It's fantastic. And then I got some Stream Factories. One of them is the Blob remake from the 80s. This is another one that I watched for my 31 days of horror movies for Halloween. I absolutely love this movie. It's the same dude who directed A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, my personal favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. He also directed The Scorpion King and Racer. It's a great update to. It's kind of like the way David Cronenberg updated The Fly in his remake, where it was like all about the makeup effects and the physical effects and all that kind of stuff, and to make it make sense for the 80s, right? Same thing here. It is beyond gory, but in a comical kind of way at times. I mean, there's a point where like the Blob is like going down the main street and some guy's running away from it, and you see like this tentacle go and just like splat him down like a cartoon, and then it peels its tentacle back, and you see the flattened guy like underneath. It's like silly stuff like that. But like there is some graphic ass stuff in here, but it is so much fun and it moves so quick. And all the characters are likable, and it has a psycho moment where like a character you think is going to be the lead in the movie ends up getting killed like 30 minutes in, and you're like, oh, if he's going to die, who else is going to die? Like, is anybody safe kind of thing? It's pretty awesome. I absolutely love it. It has a fantastic look to it. Even though the Blob is like this big pink mass, it is kind of scary because, the whole, subtitle that this movie had was Fear Has No Shape. The fact that it's just this amorphous thing is kind of scary when you think about it. And the way it offs people is kind of fantastic. I absolutely love it. Shawnee Smith from the Saw movies got her start in this. Shawnee Smith, hell yeah. Absolutely love her in that. She's like Ripley in that movie. Like at the beginning, she's kind of like timid and all that and like screaming and doing the damsel in distressy thing. But then at the end, she's got a freaking machine gun and she's like shooting at the damn thing, knowing it's not going to do a lick of good. But yeah, I absolutely, I got you, Charlie. I got you with that straight to streaming stuff. I just hate it. Like Hellraiser, I would have loved to have seen the Hellraiser remake in the theater. That was fantastic. Oh my God, leave me the hell alone. Jesus, they know I'm streaming tonight. Jesus. Anyway, the other one I picked up is Pumpkinhead, which is Stan Winston, the special effects guru that, did the Alien Queen and Aliens and stuff from the Thing remake and all that. His directorial debut, it's got Lance Henriksen in it. And the guy that played Superman in the original Superman movie from the 70s when he was a teenager. But yeah, Lance Henriksen's son, like little infant, 6 or 7 year old son, gets killed by accident by a couple of city folks. So he resurrects this ancient demon to, get revenge for killing his son. And then it comes and offs them in various ways. And you can see Pumpkinhead. I like it a lot. It's a little short. It's a little light on characterization, but it's fun. And I love the effect of Pumpkinhead. I think it's a really cool design and all that. And Lance Henriksen goes off the rails in here because as the movie goes on, he starts like deteriorating kind of. He starts looking kind of like Pumpkinhead by the end. It's pretty rad. This is one of the things I had a problem with when it came to Amazon. So this showed up the other day, and when it did, it had a big barcode label print like right across the front of this slipcover. This is like a cardboard slipcover. And they put like this label right across the front. You couldn't see Pumpkinhead at all. He was completely covered up. And it wasn't one of those labels that you can just peel off. This is one of those ones that likes to shred. And I was like, why did you send this to me? Like, why? Like, give me another one. And this is the replacement that showed up today. Like, it's just, they're pissing me off. It's like every time I return something, they do something to destroy something. Or, oh my God, I can't even talk tonight. I'm getting so worked up. It's like every time I return something, the next thing I get from them is like, it's like they've done something to it to piss me off. I don't know if it's what's going on, but it just seems that way to me. But yeah, that really ticked me off. And I was like, and I even put like in the reasons why you're returning this. I'm like, this is unacceptable. Why would you think that anyone would want the artwork destroyed by this gigantic label? You turds. Luckily, this didn't show up destroyed from them, because this was expensive, and I had totally forgotten that I pre-ordered this. This was like over $100. And when I looked at my bank statement, I was just kind of like, what did I buy for $100 from Amazon? And then I go and I look, I was like, oh, I forgot that I pre-ordered that like 3 months ago. Shit. Didn't realize it was coming out this month. That is the Toxic Avenger Collection in 4K. You see TA in 4K. This has all 4 Toxic Avenger movies in it, but the only ones I actually give a crap about are the first and the fourth. The first one's a classic. They just remade it. Peter Dinklage plays the damn Toxic Avenger in it. Haven't seen it yet. It's actually not gotten great reviews, even though it kind of had a big budget compared to this, which probably had a budget of about $50,000. Whole gist of it is it's the first superhero from New Jersey. A janitor who was always getting picked on at the gym where he worked gets thrown out of a window by the jocks, and he lands in a bucket or like a barrel full of toxic waste, and it turns him into this gigantic, muscular thing that looks like Sloth, but he uses a mop as his weapon. And it's like stupid comedy / horror stuff ensues. Like he goes around getting revenge on the people that were picking on him and rips them apart in weird ways, sticks the mop up asses and whatever. The 2 sequels that came after that, there's part 2, which is not that great. I don't remember if this is the one that has Michael Jai White in it. I think Michael Jai White's in the third one, actually. So that one is not that great. I've never actually watched the third one, and that's The Last Temptation of Toxie. I want to say this is the one that has Michael Jai White in it. Yeah, he's on the back. This one I've never actually watched. The one that I really love is the fourth one, and that is Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger 4, A Tale of Two Toxies. This one is more clever than it has any right to be, so it turns out there's like a multiverse. This was from like 2004. Turns out there's like a multiverse, and an explosion happens near Toxie, and he switches places with his doppelganger from the alternate universe, who's called the Noxious Offender in the other universe, where Toxic Avenger is actually a villain, and he's like the lead thug in his universe, and he's loose in our universe now, and the good one is released in the alternate universe, and it's really funny. I don't want to repeat things that happen in it because there's a couple of terms which are a little insensitive that are used a lot in this movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to mentally challenged people. But Tito is one of my favorite film characters, especially his little catchphrase whenever something terrible is about to happen. He goes, "Fuck this man, I'm out of here." It cracks me up. It is so funny. Ron Jeremy's in it. Lemmy's in it. It has a pretty decent cast of characters for cameos and stuff. It is super funny, too. It is so funny. James Gunn, the guy that did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he wrote I think the movie they made before Toxic Avenger 4, which was Tromeo and Juliet. He wrote it, and he actually shows up in this in a cameo. So when James Gunn got in trouble for all those tweets that he had written previously in the late 2000s that got him fired off of Guardians 3 for like a couple of months, pictures started showing up of him like in a classroom with like goth makeup on, in a wheelchair with a bunch of girls with their boobs nearly hanging out. And they were saying like, look, this guy is a deviant. He hangs out with underage girls and all this kind of stuff. No, it was a screenshot of his scene from this movie. And people were believing it. Everyone's like, oh, he's a freaking deviant. What? Tito Jackson. No, not Tito Jackson. What's up, Peter? It was a shot of him as his teacher character in this movie. He's talking about multiverses and everything. And they're like, no, this guy's a deviant. I'm like, what? People are sheep sometimes. But I was really pleased. And the thing is, these movies are shot on like some shitty film stock, and they actually look really good in 4K, which surprised the hell out of me. But the big one that I got this month, and I think Charlie can agree, I got from Arrow Video, which is that UK boutique company, the boutique label that I love. They do have problems every once in a while with like quality control. But I saw that this was being released, and I jumped on it as soon as I could and pre-ordered it. Sadly, I did not get the one with the main character on the front cover. I got the one with a secondary villain in it, but I'm not mad. And it is this Hellraiser Quartet of Torment box set. So there is one that has Pinhead on the cover. I got the one with Chatterer, but I'm not mad because I think Chatterer has a cool design. This has the first 4 Hellraiser movies in 4K, including the work print for Hellraiser Bloodline. This is like the original not the director's cut of Hellraiser 4, because Hellraiser 4 got like ripped to shreds in the editing room by the Weinsteins because they're idiots. And it has like the upgraded VHS version of the work print, which was like the in-between director's cut and final version of the movie before they did the reshoots. So I've watched every movie on this in this box set, and the cool thing is the box that it comes in is like that hard, cardboard. This thing was not going to get damaged in the mail, even if I got it from Amazon, which I did not, thankfully. Also comes with this gigantic, look how thick this book is. And it's like nothing but essays about the movies and the universe and all that kind of stuff, talking to the actors who played the Cenobites and Clive Barker and all that kind of stuff. It's a freaking book in its own. Come on. But the cool thing is the slip cover that covers up the discs is kind of like that one I had for The Mist, the ones I get from Lionsgate, where it looks like one thing. So here it is Chatterer from the side. When you pull the slip off, it's like a skeleton, which is rad. And on the back, it even has the box and I Am in Hell, Help Me from Hellraiser 2 that Frank scribes on the wall in his own blood to try to get Kirsty to follow him into hell. And the sad thing is that it has like that digipack thing. We have such sights to show you where it unfolds and the discs are in this. I would rather be in cases because these things once they break, they're broken. You cannot replace them. If it was a regular old DVD case, I could always buy a replacement. But it has all four of the original movies. So you've got Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and Hellraiser Bloodline. My favorite is definitely the first. I think they go in order. It's like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I saw 3 in the theater twice, and I really liked it back then. I watch it now, and I kind of cringe because it's just kind of like silly. But when it comes to extras, Part 4 is just terrible, though. I think I cannot stand Part 4. The Weinsteins really did a number on it, and the movie makes no sense now. I watched the work print. That was the first thing I watched when this thing showed up. Sorry. It was that work print of Bloodline. And it doesn't make it, even though it has all the original scenes before all the reshoots, it still doesn't make any sense because they basically ignore the origin of the box part of the story, where it has to do with La Marchande in France. They basically just show the ritual that brings Angelique into the world, and then the toy maker shows up and gives him the box, and then that's it. There's nothing else from that. It just focuses mostly on the modern day, the 90s storyline, and then the stuff that takes place in the future is still there. It's not. That was most of the stuff that got reshot was that stuff, and that is the stuff that they cut needed to be cut. It was really badly acted and all that kind of stuff, and I really couldn't stand it. It was boring. And the movie, like, there's some movies I've seen that have an anticlimactic ending, like the original ending of Exorcist 3 that's on the 4K that I have is underwhelming in the extreme. All it is George C. Scott walks into the cell at the end of the movie and just shoots patient X and walks out and the movie ends. What? That exorcism needed to happen in that movie to keep the momentum going. This one, it's basically like, hey, Pinhead, we're going to die together. Boom. Movie over. Anyway, tons of extras on this thing. Tons, especially when it comes to the first movie, which surprises me that you would think that there'd be less for the original, and as you've got further along, there'd be more extras. But no, I think a lot of it is actually new from the original Hellraiser. I can't really read it because the type is so small. A lot of stuff involving Clive Barker and the actors, some new commentary tracks for every movie. But yeah, I'm going to have to check all this stuff out at a later date. I only watched the movies. But had to get this. Hellraiser is one of my favorite franchises, even though most of the movies in the series are terrible. Especially when it comes to those direct-to-video ones. Goddamn. So I can get this back in here. There you go. But absolutely had to have this, because one of my favorite horror film franchises of all time. And that's a really cool set. The picture is fantastic on those. Absolutely. So now we can get into the games. So we'll go through what I picked up at the convention at R2V2 first. The convention that I went to in Rockford, and I ended up picking up a few things outside of the convention too. Oh man. Okay, so those are the two. Yeah. So at the convention, like I said, it was really, really small. Not a whole lot. I mean, there was a lot there, but there's a couple of things I would have really have loved to have bought, but like I said, I only brought a budget. All right, no problem, man. Have a good night. Go check out Epic Dice Studio on the Twitch, guys, so you can see him. He does painting of miniatures and stuff for tabletop RPGing. So if that's your thing, go check it out. There was a lot that I would have bought, but I only brought $100 in cash with me because I wanted to keep it. I didn't want to like go crazy like I do at a regular old convention, like if I were to do it at the Midwest Gaming Classic or Mo GameCon. But there was some really cool stuff there. Don't get me wrong, but I ended up reeling it in, and I bought that book, which was one thing. Also picked up an Atari game. Was the first thing I bought when I got there. So the first table I walked up to was this dude who had a bunch of Atari games complete in box. I picked up Sword Quest Fire World. I have Earthworld already. There were supposed to be 4 games in this series. There was going to be Earthworld, Fireworld, Waterworld, and then Airworld. Earthworld was the first. Fireworld was the second. Waterworld got a limited release. I think there was only a certain amount of copies that made it out, and Airworld never got released. It never got made. And the whole thing was each one of these games, when you would beat it, would give you a code. And if you turned that code in, you were entered in a like a raffle kind of thing or a contest to win a like solid 24 karat gold item from the game. And I don't remember. I think in this one, it is the chalice that they're looking at right there. It was a golden chalice. The other one is a sword. I think the one from Earthworld is a sword. There was a scepter, I think, for Waterworld. And I can't remember what the one for Airworld was going to be, but somebody won the sword. Somebody won the chalice. I don't know if anybody won the scepter for the third game, and the fourth game never happened. I would really like to see those things in person, though, I'll tell you that. But these games are terrible. They are super cryptic. So it's basically walking from one room to the next. You're like in a maze. And there's little mini games that you have to pass in order to get an item in that room. There's one where you have to they say it's like avoiding a waterfall. You'll see like a line coming down the screen with a hole, like a space between the lines. You have to kind of like squeeze through it over and over again to get to the end of the stage or the end of the screen, and you get an item. What the items are never really described to you all that well, and what they are and what they do is vague. You're supposed to be able to get hints from the comic book that comes with each one of these games. Luckily, this one had it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it. But each of these came with a comic book. And there's hidden messages in each one in the artwork somewhere. You'll see like hidden words and all that. You really had to look because like they're sometimes hidden like in the what do they call it? Like the texture of a creature's skin or something. There might be a word in the texture. You really have to like get a magnifying glass sometimes to find them. Other times they're right in your face, like on a wall kind of thing. And you need those clues in order to beat the game. The only thing is the game makes no sense and therefore is not a whole lot of fun. But these were games I had in my childhood. And I want to get them back into my collection. That's the whole reason I'm collecting is to get all these games that I played all the time as a child back into my collection somehow. Because nostalgia is a thing. But yeah, these games are actually kind of bad. I don't like them at all. But had to have them because of the nostalgia factor. But I also picked up 2 Intellivision games. I don't even own an Intellivision, but I wanted to get these in my collection because of the company that made them. Magic and Activision are my 2 favorite developers for the Atari 2600. Magic made a bunch of games for the Intellivision that they never released on the Atari 2600. It was like Intellivision had its own exclusive games for some reason, probably because the Intellivision was a more powerful system than the Atari 2600. And I had many opportunities to buy these games at People Play Games when they were still open over here by me. There was a Dracula one that I wanted. There's a bunch of them, but I always said, well, I don't have an Intellivision. Why would I buy it? I wish I did. Luckily, these games were not all that expensive at the convention. I think there was like 15 and 18 or something like that. One was 15, one was 18. And I got these from a dude, also named Chris. I beat this game to win a real life fight. I went network now because 2 hours after release, some dude would crack the game and put the answers on Game Facts. You know, right? You ain't kidding. It'd be all over YouTube or something, or it'd be a TikTok. Yeah, this dude named Chris, and he was like, "Hey, I watch your videos." Like, you know, I was like, "Really? Somebody watches my stuff that I don't personally know?" I'm like, "That happens." So it was really cool to meet someone who actually watches the channel, and he was like, "I'll make you a good deal on whatever you buy." I think I got one buy on him, though. I felt bad about it. It wasn't like I was trying to pull anything. It was just the way things worked out. So I picked up Microsurgeon. Never got a release on the Atari 2600, sadly. And it looks like like with the surgery game that you would have nowadays, like, you know, Trauma Team or Trauma Center or whatever, mixed with Fantastic Voyage. That just looks freaking awesome. Why couldn't we have this game on the Atari? Probably because it wouldn't have worked. And it even comes with the overlays for the controllers, which have certain buttons will have certain functions in the game. And I love the way the Magic and Television cartridges look. They just like miniature versions of the Atari 2600 ones. And that looks fantastic. So I had to pick that up. Also picked up Beauty and the Beast, another exclusive for the console. And this one's kind of like a variation of King Kong. Basically, make your way up to the top to the monkey and make him fall down to his death. And this one has the overlays as well, even though I don't think this does anything specific. Yeah, it just looks like a picture. Good luck. Jump. It tells you what buttons are jump and how to pick how many players you have. So nothing special. And Beauty and the Beast. Tiny little version. It's like a miniature version of Atari 2600 cartridge. I love it. It's so cute. So adorable. And then I also picked up from him Shinobi for the Nintendo 3DS. I had done the 3DS stream in October, and I was actually out looking for more 3DS games to add to the collection, and he had this, which is one that I would see all the time at Half Price Books, and every time I would go there, it would still be sitting there. So I was like, it looks like I have time. No one has any interest in this game. And then when I finally do have interest in picking it up, it's gone because, of course. And I don't think it's a direct port of the PlayStation 2 game. I think it's its own thing. But absolutely thrilled to have this in the collection. So the thing was, if you were to take these 3 games that I got from the guy, and I think it was like $55, and he was like, "Oh, I'll knock it off to 50." He's like, "I'll give you a deal, 50 for all of these." I opened my wallet, all I have is 45 left. That was all the money I had left for the convention. And I was like, all I have is 45. And I really didn't want to. I was like, I'll put the Shinobi back. It's not a big deal. And he was like, "No, I'll take the 45 because, I hear you want to." He was saying, like, you don't even have the Intellivision to play these on, but you still want them. He's like, "Take them." So he was really cool. Chris, thank you if you're watching. I appreciate you. You're awesome. Thank you for making a deal with me. But I felt like I got by on him because that feels like a dick move to be like, well, I only have this much money left in my wallet, which was the truth. I mean, I opened my wallet right in front of him. There was no more cash in it. But I felt bad. And the last game I bought at the convention right before I went to this dude's table was Sonic the Hedgehog on the Game Gear. And TJ was actually thinking about buying this, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna block you. If you want it, take it. Just take it. And he was like, no, you take it. And he's like, you buying it means I don't have to spend any more money. I was like, okay. I'm like, if you're sure, I'll take it. And I've been trying to find this for a while. I used to be able to find this on eBay, so it was like even brand new. It was like super cheap, and now they're really expensive. And I got this for less than what it goes for in used condition on eBay. And even TJ commented on that. And it's like a dumbed-down version of a Sonic game. I mean, it still plays by Sonic rules, but I don't think it's a direct port of the original Sonic on the Genesis. I think it's its own thing, which is fine. I do enjoy Sonic 2 on the Game Gear, so very much so. I think it's pretty cool. So then, because we're in the area, we went out to, it was me, TJ, and Mega Man. We all went out to get something to eat, had some really good burgers. And then he was like, hey, I'll take you to a disc replay, because I always talk about that disc replay that was in Skokie by my work that had closed, and I miss going to that place because I was always finding awesome stuff, despite the fact that they had a habit of, when they would get a loose game when someone would sell them a loose game, they would print out a really crappy looking artwork and put it in a case and try to make you think that it's the original artwork when you can tell it is definitely not. And they had a habit of doing that quite a bit. So we went to this disc replay, and that was all I saw was these games with like this fake artwork on it. I was just kind of like, Jesus, dude. Like, what are you guys doing? Just stop it. And for the first time since I've ever been I've never walked out of a disc replay without buying something. At least when the one was out here by me. That was the first time with the one that they took me to where I walked out and hadn't bought anything in a disc replay. There was some cool stuff there, but like I said, it was in like a fake case or something. And I was like, no. So we went next door to a GameStop, and I bought some stuff there. First thing, I didn't even know that this was a thing, so I had to pick this up because I absolutely love this franchise, and that is We Heart Katamari, or We Love Katamari Reroll Plus Royal Reverie. And this is, I do believe, the remake of the Xbox 360 exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. I think We Love Katamari is the Xbox one, or is that the sequel to the PlayStation 2 one? There's so many games in this franchise that's hard to remember. But just like we had the remake of the original on the Switch and on the PlayStation 4 and all that, they did a remake of the sequel. Didn't know this existed, so picked this up because I absolutely had to. I love the Katamari games. I think it's a fantastic series. How about instead of making remakes, you make new ones? How about that, Namco? Get on that. And I also picked up Shadow Warrior 3, the definitive edition. So Shadow Warrior is a really cool first-person shooter where you use a sword and a gun, and sometimes some magic. Absolutely love it. I was streaming it on Twitch like years and years ago, like 5 years ago. And part 2 got a limited release through Limited Run Games, and it was like on a Wednesday. Like normally they would release their stuff on a Friday. For some reason they were like, hey, we're going to do this special run on a Wednesday where I had no freaking clue what was happening. Just so happened I had my phone handy, and I like log on real quick, and I'm like, I think it was like Facebook or something. And they were like, I saw a post from them saying like, it goes live in like 10 minutes, guys. And I'm like, what? And by the time I had logged in and all that, because my phone and where I work doesn't get a great signal and all that, by the time I got logged on and all that, it already sold out. I was like, what the hell? So I don't have a copy of the second game, but the third one, I don't care. I'll play it because the first one is so much fun. Absolutely had to have that. More first-person shooter stuff with, throwing stars and swords and magic. Hell yeah. Had to get that. Wasn't going to pass that shit up. And then there's everything else I got this month. Okay, so we'll start off with... Yeah, we'll go in order. Picked this up off of Amazon on the Amazon Marketplace. The people that are like selling like on eBay. And I picked up that Hawks game, the original one, at that all-night swap meet that I went to in August. And was like, you know what? Now that I have that, you got to find part 2. Just get part 2. So I found this on the Marketplace pretty cheap. And it did actually live up to the condition. Normally the people on the Marketplace lie about everything. It's in brand new condition. You get it. It looks like someone took a belt sander to the underside of the disc kind of thing. But this is in great shape. And it is another aerial combat type game, which I absolutely love. So had to have that. I'm always looking for more PS3 games to add to the collection. I still love my PS3 to this day. And next we can go with the PS4. So I think it was Eugene, E.C. Myers vids on YouTube streaming this game at some point. And then I saw Johnny Millennium talking about this on Happy Console Gamer. And when they started this, honestly, it was Happy Console Gamer. Then I saw the stream by Eugene. And the way they're describing it was like the original Legend of Zelda if it was in an isometric view, and it's like really cute and fun. And I was like, that sounds really rad. The only thing was I had to get it from Fangamer, the website, because they were releasing this physically. And it also has a PS5 upgrade, even though it's on the PS4, which is fantastic. And that is Tunic. This cute little fox character that looks like Link as a fox. And like I said, it is a throwback type game that is in an isometric view, but it's like playing Legend of Zelda. But the thing that gets me the most is the overworld looks like the overworld map from Mario 3. That is awesome. But yeah, it's like an adventure style game. Get new equipment for your character, like in the original Legend of Zelda and kind of stuff. and slash slash slash. And it just seemed like a lot of fun. And this has a like a metallic cover that kind of reflects light. It's more visible on the back. Actually, not on the stream, but here it's reflective. It's really cool. I'm really glad that I picked that up. And then we go to the PS4 game. So got a bunch of games from Limited Run this month. One of them, I honestly, this and the other game in this series, I don't even remember buying through Limited Run, but apparently I did. I know why I bought this one. I mean, after it showed up, I was like, well, I understand why I bought this, because it's a PSVR game. That is Sam & Max. This time it's virtual. So I previously bought a couple of these Sam & Max games, and they're like point-and-click adventures, like Lucasfilm style. And I have one on the Switch already, which explains why I bought these after the fact. I was like, well, I figured since I already bought one, I might as well get the rest, right? The only thing is one of them was made with the PSVR in mind. I'll get that instead of getting the Switch version. And you can see that it's like a point-and-click adventure game, kind of like Grim Fandango. So pick that up. And then I got the other game that they released, I guess, at the same time, which is Sam & Max Beyond Time and Space. More of the same point-and-click adventure-y type stuff. Have not played any of these yet. Should not surprise you guys. And then I also got this in the mail. And, well, yeah. I'm probably going to sell this and get the PlayStation 4 version, because I think I bought this before I made the decision. So, Limited Run released the Castlevania collections on the PS4, as well as the Switch. I went for the Switch with the Castlevanias because I wanted to be able to play them on the go. But then once I got them, I was like, I don't care. I would rather play this on the PS4 and get some achievements or trophies or whatever instead of playing it on the go, because I could care, because the Switch is not my favorite console. And I'm assuming I bought this before I made the decision to sell my PlayStation, my Switch versions of not only the Castlevania collections, but the what is it called? The Bloodstained Circle of the Moon 1 and 2, and get the PlayStation 4 versions instead. I bought this probably before I made the decision to do that. And that is the Contra Anniversary Collection on the Switch, which has the arcade Contra, Super Contra, the arcade version, the NES Contra, the Japanese version of Contra, Super C, Contra 3 The Alien Wars, Operation C, Contra Hardcore, Super Probotector, Alien Rebels, I guess, and Probotector, which is the British version, where instead of playing as human characters, you're playing as robots, because for some reason in the UK, it was not a good idea to have humans killing other humans, even though you were killing aliens. I don't get it. So I'm probably going to get rid of this and get the PlayStation 4 version. So I'm pretty sure I can get a decent amount for it. It's never been opened. And then also my copy of Final Vendetta showed up. This thing has been available forever, but because I ordered it with a bunch of other things at the same time, namely all those limited run games, this took forever too, because it was sitting in a holding pattern waiting for the other games I ordered at the same time to finish getting made, and then they could ship this out to me. And this is a beat-em-up like Streets of Rage, which I thought looked absolutely fantastic. So absolutely love beat-em-ups, and this really piqued my interest, so had to get a copy of it. It's just sad that it took forever to get to me. And then there's the games that I picked up within the last few days. So we recently had an audit at my work, and I was one of the people chosen to be interviewed by said auditor. And apparently, I thought I did a terrible job talking to this guy. We were told to memorize certain things, and I couldn't memorize them. I tried to, but for some reason they just would not. Usually I'm pretty good with that kind of stuff, but for some reason it was just the wording of things just did not stick. So I'm sitting there freaking out thinking this guy's going to ask me to recite these things, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Didn't ask me any of these things. And like the questions he was asking me, he would like backtrack on himself a little bit and try to confuse me. And I thought the answers that I gave back to him were terrible. So like after it was over, I was like, I blew that. Nope. Turns out I did a great job, because my boss gave me a $50 Amazon gift card afterwards for saying I did such a great job. And I spent it. On these two things, I spent it on the new Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja, the T-Rex edition. So I'm assuming this is a brand new. Welcome to this prehistorical adventure with amazing hand-drawn graphic environments. Play as Joe and Mac in this dinosaur bashing action game. I thought, honestly, when I bought this, it was like just remasters of the old games. Like it had Joe and Mac 1 and 2 on it, but apparently it's a new game. And it has a bunch of stuff in it, too. It has a trading card, a keychain, and stickers. You know what? Let's open this thing up and see what's got inside. So like I said, I thought this was just a compilation of the older games. And since I've been trying to get the original, at least the OG Joe and Mac on the Super Nintendo in my collection, and it's been proving to be a real pain in the ass because like for some reason it goes for a lot of money when I don't think it's worth what people are asking for it. I thought this is a good alternative, and plus I can get some trophies in the meantime. I think it's a brand new game. So yeah, here's the Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja keychain. And we have a card with I think it's the original arcade artwork for Caveman Ninja, which is kind of cool. And a bunch of stickers I'm never going to use. That's rad. That's rad, I guess. So really looking forward to playing this because I loved Joe and Mac. I loved my original Joe and Mac on the Super Nintendo back in the day, so I had to get that. And I also bought Cult of the Lamb. I keep on seeing, like I've never actually seen gameplay of this, but every time I log on to Twitch, I see a bunch of people streaming it. And I'm like, is that, because to me, every time I hear someone describe it, it sounds like Binding of Isaac. And I loved Binding of Isaac. And now that I look at it, it kind of looks a little bit like Binding of Isaac, but maybe 2D or 3/4 D or something. I don't know. But it was dirt cheap. Like this was on sale on Amazon, so I picked it up. Cult of the Lamb cast players in the role of possessed lamb saved from annihilation by an ominous stranger and must repay their debt by building a loyal following in his name. Start your own cult in a land of false prophets, venturing out into diverse and mysterious regions to build loyal communities of woodland followers and spread your word to become the one and true cult. Build your flock, destroy the non-believers. If that doesn't sound like something that came out of the people who made Binding of Isaac, I don't know what is. But it sounds interesting. Always sounded interesting to me, so I picked it up. Plus, I said it was dirt cheap. It brought me in within budget of that $50 gift card. Also had to get this Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Come on, TJ, those Switch games, bro. I am currently playing this alongside the rest of Cyberpunk 2077. And this is proving to be just what I needed because Cyberpunk can be really dark and disturbing at times. There are some missions that you go on where things just go way down the shitter and it's like disturbing. This is so fun. Like there were times where I'm like, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow so I can play some Wonder before I go to work. That's what's been happening the last couple of days. This game is so much fun. The graphics are amazing. The gameplay is great, even though it kind of is new Super Mario Brothers, which I don't really like. This does feel a little bit like that, although it is a little bit faster. But the whole wonder part of it, where you find like this flower that like trips you the hell out, and then all of a sudden the gameplay mechanics completely change. There's times where I'm like, you jump up, because it's 2D, where you jump up and all of a sudden Mario's walking sideways. Like the background that you're looking at is actually the floor, and you're walking around. And there is some crazy-ass stuff that goes on, and it just changes the gameplay up so it keeps everything fresh. The graphics are adorable. The characters are adorable. The little talking flowers that say stuff, like usually positive things to you as you walk past, are adorable. It is so fun. Probably my favorite Mario game I've played in a long time. I absolutely love it. It is so much fun. I think on World 3 right now. I beat the first section of levels, which was like the standard foresty plains kind of thing. Then I did the underwater levels, and now I'm on the snow levels. That's, I think, World 3. Super fun. Absolutely love it. All the new power-ups. You get the elephant power-up. You get the one that makes you shoot bubbles, which makes you feel like you're playing a bubble game for some reason. It wonder that is. Oh, Peter, something. Yeah, it's great. It's one of my top games. I mean, I haven't beaten it yet. I'm like maybe a third of the way through, but it's probably one of the best games I've played this year. It is so good. And then the final game is the one that I have a return. Like another thing I have with Amazon is this bullshit. So I found a new channel. I mean, it's not a new channel, but for me, it's a new channel called Trek a Day. And it's basically this dude releases a short Star Trek themed video every single day. They're less than 5 minutes each. And one that he released last week was saying, hey, this Star Trek game that got a digital only release earlier in the year has come out on physical. Here's my thoughts on it. And I was like, wait, what? That came out on physical? Buy. And I immediately went on Amazon and picked it up or bought a copy. And when it showed up, that happened. It looked like somebody had stepped on this entire corner and crushed it. And immediately I'm like, you mother effers. I'm like, again? How does this keep happening? Like I keep on saying, like the more I return stuff, the more stuff shows up jacked up. I get that pumpkin head. I get this. It's like they see on my account that I'm constantly returning stuff. And they're like, F that guy, send him the one that's broken. Because there was nothing wrong with the packaging, like that this came in, even though this came in a bag. It was one of those paper ones. You know, there's nothing wrong with the bag. It didn't look like anybody stepped on that. This means that they shipped it to me looking like this. Bullshit. So immediately go back on the app, give me a new copy, which is going to show up tomorrow, and I have to go and replace it. I have to go send this one back. So I wanted to have this one here to show you guys, and I'm going to go and send it back tomorrow. What it is this was made by ex-members that worked at Telltale Games. And you know how Telltale Games work, where it's like basically you have some light gameplay stuff if you're walking around, but it's mostly you making choices. And a bunch of them are presented to you, and you have to make a choice, and that affects the way the game is going to play. It might go a bad path, it might go a good path, but the rest of the game is going to ebb and flow depending on your choices. Well, imagine putting that kind of style of gameplay in a Star Trek game. So you play as two different characters. You play as this first officer who's a Bajoran and this ensign who works in engineering. And their paths keep on crossing, and that's when you switch who you're going to play as. And all your choices as these characters affect the other person in other ways you might not see, but like an hour or two down in the game, later in the game, you might have a repercussion of some sort. I hear the game's maybe like 10, 12 hours long at most. But you know me and my Star Trek, I absolutely had to have this. And I've been looking forward to it. And when it first got released, I was like, hell yeah, definitely going to buy that. Oh, it's digital only? Eat a dick. Hate that shit. Had no clue. If it wasn't for Trek a Day, I would never have known to buy this. So thank you, Trek a Day. You're awesome. And he even did a review of it later on. So happy to have this in the collection, even though I'm not keeping this specific one, because who would want that? Not me. F you, Amazon. Every single thing I get, like I was like every second thing I get in the mail from them is destroyed or damaged in some way. I don't get it. Anyway, so that is it for this month's pickups. Sorry about all the technical problems I've been having today, but something's going on with this computer. It's old. It's like a 10-year-old computer, so naturally things are going to start crapping out on it. But it works normally most times. But for some reason today, it's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to stream today. Yeah. But lucky for everyone else, I get to stream again tomorrow night. Because tomorrow night is going to be the next Video Game Collection 2023 stream. Haven't decided. I need to look it up again to see which came first, the PS4 or the Xbox One. And that'll be what console I'm talking about tomorrow. You'll find out when the video gets posted on my page, which one I ended up going with. And then I'll have another short for you on Friday. You missed the tech issues. The camera kept shutting itself off. So I had to reboot twice, which is some bull. Anyway, I'll be back with another short now that I'm done. Now that Halloween is over, I don't have to post the movie reviews every single day. I'm going to go back to posting a mix of both. But for the time being, it's going to be a lot of video game stuff to make up for all of the movie stuff that I've been posting recently. So new stream tomorrow, and then a new short Friday. And then on Saturday, I'm going to release the newest episode of my D&D streams, the Tides of Flame, that has Mondane and the Game Grinder in it as players. I think it's episode 9. But yeah, I'm going to upload that to the channel on Saturday. So if you're into that kind of thing, check that out. because we're going to be streaming a new episode of that next Saturday on my Twitch channel. So I want to have the new storyline available for everyone to see how it went. So if you're going to watch the stream, you know what's up and you're up to speed. Followed by another short on Sunday. So you're going to be getting some every day until Monday. So thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with me as I talked about all this geeky stuff that I probably shouldn't be spending money on, but I just do it anyway because why not? Because I love it. So I'll talk to you all later. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. See you hopefully tomorrow night.